Hello there, and welcome to the first episode of Appworthy, where we brainstorm turning your book or coaching program into an app live. I'm Alan Edmond, and I help non-technical founders build custom software for their teams and clients. Today, I have the pleasure to be joined by Dr. Morgan Cutlip. Morgan, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
All right, so before we get started on the actual topic, can you tell us a bit more about yourself, who you help, and what do you help them with?
Sure. So I have my PhD in psychology, and I've specialized in relationships for over 20 years. And I really worked in a sort of broad scope in terms of helping people with their relationships for a long time. I worked alongside my dad, along doing singles programs, helping people choose a partner, marital programs. And then after I became a mom, things really shifted in a significant way for me in terms of sort of figuring out exactly where I want to live in my professional life. And there were two main things. I felt really sort of lost to myself in early motherhood. I felt like I was buried by all the responsibilities. I couldn't believe how I just went into motherhood thinking I knew exactly what I would do. I felt like overqualified. It's like, I'm going to crush it at this. It's going to be easy. It really, really hit me hard. I was humbled in such a big way and felt really disconnected from myself and stretched in ways I hadn't been stretched before. So that really became a focus of my first book, which I wrote for moms. But it was really all about still relationships, which is how do moms care for their relationship with themselves. And so I spent years working on that. And then the other piece that really stuck out after I became a mom and my husband and I became parents is the massive amount of responsibilities that fell on, it felt like, my plate. And we have a great marriage and I love him very, very much. But I was shocked at how quickly resentment could grow toward him in our relationship. And part of it just felt like my life changed and his really stayed the same. And so that's become the focus of my work now, which what you're helping me build something to help couples with, which is how couples really share all of the responsibilities of modern family life. The name for it's invisible labor or mental load. And that was a focus of my second book, and really how I'm just really leaning into my work around helping couples find a sense of fairness around how they do modern family life in a way that feels good to them both.
Okay. So I didn't even know. So it's your second book, essentially.
This is my second book. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's called the BetterShare, and so you kind of already described, but in one sentence, what is the one promise you would say people would get out of this book?
One sentence. You already know I'm.
Oh, it could be.
Okay, I'll do it. Okay.
Could be a few sentences. It's okay.
I think one of the biggest things I want for couples out of this book is a new perspective into each other's worlds. So the mental load specifically tends to be kind of like a topic that's pretty negative toward men. And I understand why that is, but I wanted to write a book that was really welcoming to both partners and lended perspective into both partners' experiences so they can align and feel more on the same team. Okay,
nice. Yeah, I can feel that when we're going to talk about the app just after, but yeah, you can feel it's not just the shaming and the blaming.
Yeah.
Like women are doing more, men don't do anything. Let's just teach them how to help. It's not really about that, so that's great. Do you have any before the app? Did you and do you have other products or channels that you have that can support the book, or that people can use and get to get help on this journey?
Yeah, I found my sort of like ideal customer, or my typical kind of client or customer or Instagram follower, is usually a woman who is really overwhelmed and burnt out and kind of frustrated in her relationship. And so keeping that in mind, the shortage on time, feeling sort of at her wit's end, all of my products are really designed to be very targeted to a specific pain point and also really efficient to consume, and also like takes you right to the solution. Like I don't add a lot of fluff. So one of my best-selling courses is called Done with Defensiveness. And all my courses are audio. I think it's just easier to listen to. They come with PDF downloads. And what I found is a lot of times one of the things that couples need to get over before they can really tackle the mental load is some sort of form of defensiveness or resistance. So this course covers both sides of defensiveness. Whether you get defensive, you'll get help, or you're dealing with a partner who gets defensive, you'll learn strategies. The second, I have lots, but I'll just tell you these two. The second is called The Brief, and it's an audio course for men. And over the years, people are very vocal on social. It's alarming sometimes, but one of the pushbacks I would receive when I would give a tip or a piece of advice was, "Oh, well, you're just adding more to my plate as the woman, asking me to teach him about the mental load." And valid. Also, if you're the one that wants things to change, you sort of carry that responsibility a little bit to let them know. But anyway, my answer to that was The Brief, which is an audio course, again, for men, and it explains the mental load to men in a way that I think does not stir up defensiveness, in a way they understand. And then it says, this is exactly what you need to do. So a clear directive for men. And so it's been really cool to see feedback on that course. Men love it, and they're like, light bulb moments go off. And yeah, it's been pretty cool.
I was about to ask, what was the reception from the guys?
They loved it.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're like, finally, I get it. Thank you for. And sometimes we need to hear stuff from somebody other than our partner. It's an unfortunate reality, but it's helpful.
Yeah, the neutral point of view.
Yes.
That's not your wife. Yes. Okay. All right. So now if we dive into the app, and so she mentioned it, but just full disclosure, Morgan and I have been working together and a bunch of other amazing people, and we built the BetterShare app over the course of 2 months, I think.
Fast.
2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
We started
you should feel very
March.
proud of that.
Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah. Lots of hard work. And so, so we've been working together. But if we go back, it was a bit different, but just let people know, how did the idea of the app come along? Where did it come from? Just a bit more of the background before the app started, that build started.
Do you want me to start with Persist?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. I don't know how far back you want me to go. So the original idea for the app started with other people. I was not involved. A woman named Ellie, and she had a team of people that I'm not probably going to try to remember right now, but who were part of the beginnings of this idea that it was really important for people to be able to measure their time. How much time are they spending around all of the tasks that are required to run a home and a family? And so I know Ellie ran Persist as a digital tool, a web-based app, that she was really working hard to get in front of companies to try to educate them about how are your employees spending their time? What does it look like outside of the workplace? Because that has a dramatic impact on what people are like in the workplace. And so long story short, I think there was a change in funding, which then forced Persist to shift more into the direct-to-consumer lane. And at this point, I think Ellie and the team felt a little bit like, this is a kind of something different than we imagined, and we might need another voice in here helping to guide the future of this project. And so they approached me, maybe October of 2025. And it was really serendipitous timing because I had wrapped up my books. I had done 2 books in 3 years, written and launched. And I was just burnt out and taking a break, but also was trying to use that time to think about what is next and how can I support couples in just like the non-typical ways. Like, yes, you can consume a course and education is great, but how do you take that education and put it to use? I got a lot of education in my book. Like, you can learn a ton of stuff. How do you make sure couples are actually putting this to work? And I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but I was trying to come up with unique approaches for helping couples. So they approached me, and I was like, this is great timing. Also, I wanted to take a break, but maybe that's not in the cards for me. And so they asked if I would essentially take it over. And so at that time I did. And we spent months reimagining what was persistent, what do we want the next phase to look like, what do we want to retain, and what do we want to be different. And we really wanted to shift it away from being just about time. That sort of promotes, it's important, and that perspective is important, but it promotes sometimes this competition in relationships. And so we wanted to really shape it into something that helps couples unearth all of the invisible stuff that is usually visible to one partner, so they can start operating on the same page with the same perspective. But we wanted to shift it into something that was a dynamic way of really helping to promote pro-relationship behaviors and insights. And so that's really the direction BetterShare is headed. And I guess we can keep talking about that. I don't remember. Just keep rambling, but we've launched, and so far so good, and it's been cool to see how people are using the different features that we came up with and get feedback on how things are going for them.
Nice. So there is one interesting bit that I didn't know about. I was also working with Persist, also full disclosure, so people don't think we are hiding stuff here. But so you were just finished with your books and willing to take a break, but no breaks for warriors, obviously. And so and then we're going to get into the app, but had you think about something like an app before Persist reached out, or?
I think for probably decades, to be completely honest. So when I worked with my dad, obviously I wasn't creating my own programs. I was sort of like the support to what my dad did in his work. But he, I won't get into it, but he has a dynamic model of relationships that are sort of the underpinnings of all of his courses. And just the way that it works, it would like lend perfectly for an app. I did my dissertation on it. It's like a projective assessment of a relationship. And so for years we would talk about how can we make this into an app or an assessment, and I think over the years there have been other things that have come up where I've sort of spurred those conversations. And as I've grown sort of my own brand and my presence on social media, obviously you get approached a lot about, can we turn you into an AI person? Can we create an app for you? All of these sort of different things that have shown up over the years. But I've knocked around like an app and a membership, but nothing quite felt right. I didn't want to create a solely educational app. And so I had thought about it, but I hadn't figured it out yet. And I know when I was approached by Ellie and by Christina, coming together and being able to reimagine what could be in an app and what this could do for couples unlocked a lot of ideas for me. And so it was a really good blend, because I hadn't landed on what the app would actually look like. But.
Nice. So I don't know if maybe you cut. Okay, no, okay, but it's back.
Oh, sorry.
So it was kind of okay. So perfect timing, essentially. That's
yes,
great.
Perfect timing.
Okay, so if we dive into the actual app now, so let's start. We start with basics, and then we start to move up. So who is the app for? What's the audience for the app?
The app is for couples who are in a relatively healthy relationship. You don't have to have a perfect relationship, but relatively healthy, where you're both interested in finding a better share around how you navigate your family life.
Okay, so the first point already is it's not for women fighting everything them by themselves. It's for the couple to work together. So that's very important.
Yes.
Okay, and so what kind of data do we have? What do they track? What do they do inside the app? Can you tell us a bit more?
Let me tell you the features. I feel like you could speak to this. Okay.
I know. Yeah.
So something that we brought over from Persist, which I think is incredibly valuable, is something called the care load assessment. And this is essentially a breakdown of all of the tasks that are involved in running a family. And you essentially say who does what. Who carries what, and this provides a picture into some of the invisible pieces. So we expanded on this a little bit from how it existed in Persist to make it easier to show how tasks are shared. And part of my work is that I break down a task by the mental, physical, and emotional labor that goes into it. And so we've sort of beefed up or just altered the CLA to have these 3 dimensions. So if you're imagining the beginning sort of journey into the app, you start by taking the abbreviated free version of the CLA. So it's not all of the tasks, it's just a small portion of the tasks. And you get insight into how much of the load you're carrying, how many hours that equates to, and how much of the mental, physical, and emotional labor you're managing. This isn't meant to start a fight. I definitely know it could get there, but it's meant to say, okay, maybe you think you do as much as me, but let's look at the data, let's sit down, and let's talk through what's going on in our relationship. So if I seem like I'm overwhelmed and stressed out all the time, this is probably what's going on with me.
Right.
And now you have insight into me. And so it begins that conversation. In the free assessment, we actually provide a script for people to talk through that initial conversation. So after that, the onboarding then enters into a feature we call Same Page, which is essentially trying to capture some of the things that people don't put on a to-do list or they don't put on a shared calendar, but that loop around in your brain that you're like, I just need my partner to know this exists, or this is something that like we need to just talk about. We need to touch base about this because it's just getting lost in the chaos of life. And so here you can speak out things that are on your mind. It tags them, it organizes them into different categories so you can follow up on those later. I don't know how much in depth you want me to get into these things.
So this is essentially the post-its on the fridge.
Post-its on the fridge, yes.
Yeah.
And one of the the things that we really wanted to accomplish with this feature is for couples to quickly, in an asynchronous way, get in each other's worlds. So my husband would benefit from knowing that like my brain is looping around how to support our daughter around some of her math homework. Like I'm not going to put that on our to-do list, but he needs to know that's like where my head's at so he can appreciate it. He can check in on me. He can decide to join in and participate in that too. But it's helpful to help couples get better at knowing what's going on in their internal worlds. So that's one of the features. One of the ways you can tag some of those items is let's talk, or we need to talk about this. And that feeds into another feature that I'll explain in a second. The second set of features is something we're calling experiments. And I'm really excited about these. I've worked on relationship apps in the past, and something I always would mention when I would work on these apps, which they didn't take me up on it, was you have to figure out a way to not just like throw long articles at people or a video, like educate them through revealing an insight. And so the experiments seek to do that, either to promote healthy relationship behaviors or to unearth some sort of insight that's going to unlock something in your relationship and help you to know each other better, work through a place you're stuck. So one example is there's an appreciation statement generator. People kind of stink at expressing quality appreciation, so it helps form those statements really, really quickly. They're meaningful. You can copy and paste them and send them to each other. Another one, which is cool, is a value sort. So a lot of times in relationships, we align with our partner on what we value, but when we're actually making decisions, we don't prioritize the values in the same way. So then we start to feel like, I don't even know you, or why aren't you the same as me? It feels vulnerable to be disconnected in that way. And so this experiment helps you to see, okay, you guys align on these values, but you are probably prioritizing them differently, and this is causing conflict. So super easy ways to unearth really important aspects of your relationship and what might be going on. And then one of the third features that we're hoping people really get into a habit of using is something called touch bases. And in my book, I kind of conclude with this, and the app is like pushing people here, which is that to stay on top of the busyness of life, you need to regularly come together and talk about what's on your plates and align as the week, sort of for the week moving forward. And this helps to prevent resentments from developing and small issues from becoming big. And so the app has guided touch bases that it walks you through stay structured. These conversations can be so awkward. So we're trying to minimize the awkwardness by giving you the questions to start with. And then also anything you flagged as let's talk about this is going to come through in your touch base so you can revisit some of those things that you had flagged early on and hopefully align in the week ahead.
Nice. So a couple notes there. First of all, the experiments are great because even us while testing them, we had some aha moments. So that was great, unexpected. Quick question about these, especially, are they something you talk about in the book, or you created them just for the app? I just want to learn more about this.
So I talk about everything. That's a great question. Not everything in the experiments I talk about in the book, okay, but a lot of them I do, and I think there's a lot more that can be created, much to your chagrin, many more that we can create based on concepts in the book. So I think it was like inspired and informed, but not exactly the same. But like I have a chapter in my book called Can We Talk? Because talking about hard things immediately usually stirs up some sort of feelings about that, some defensiveness, some anxiety. And one of the experiments is directly about what is getting in the way of your ability to have tricky conversations. And let's see if we can pull out your pattern so you can be aware and move through it differently together. So there's some overlap, and I think there would continue to be more moving forward as we create more experiments.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a great transition to the next question, which is obviously when you have a book, people can just read it, put it down, read again, whatever. But if you have an app, you kind of want people to use it. And so one of the key things you have to think about is what would make people come back. And so you can add more, but from what I'm getting from what you just said would be the touch bases are the things that are useful for couples to come back to the app and have these conversations. Again, communication is key for any relationship. People tend to forget that. You know better, but yeah, even I and my wife is a huge communication person as well. So touch bases, experiments. Is there anything else that we have or that you have in mind for the app to get people to come back? And
yes, I think the same page is something that's supposed to bring people back. And I think, actually even this morning Christine and I are talking about how can we continue to make that section of the app even more user-friendly and functional. So the hope is that the practice of taking what's looping in your mind and putting it somewhere, that piece is helpful. I mean, I remember when I was surveying, I've collected lots of data over the years on women especially, and then some men. One of the things women say they need the most is like, I just need to empty my brain. And that is helpful. And so just that act, we're hoping is beneficial. But then also the ability for your partner to be like, oh, I can see what's in your brain. As you continue to add things, check things off, hopefully receive appreciation for what you've done, or I got it, I see what you're doing. We're hoping that people continue to come back to that feature, and we'll continue to improve it.
Nice. All right. I guess that, I know the app obviously, but and anything else you would like to add about kind of the objectives or the objectives or the features of the app itself before we step back and talk about the process of building it?
I think it's just really cool to imagine all that you can do inside the framework of an app. I sort of just, I think sometimes I have to just rein it in, because the way in which you can start to integrate things, predict things, especially with how far AI's already come, and it's just going to keep going. It's such a cool way to take an educational framework and make it so much more alive and lived. And so anyway, I think it's awesome. So I hope you get to help so many more people take their work and translate it into this medium, because it's really powerful.
Nice, thanks. Yeah, I agree. And you have to live it to kind of see it, like how much you can do. And so let's move to the process now. So how did overall, and then you can deep dive, focus, go however you want about the process. How did you find the entire process or specific part of the process? Can you tell us more about your experience of building this app?
I think overall, I'd say it was pretty painless. I think so. A huge factor in all of this is that I'm working with someone named Christina, who is just
Hi, Christina.
insane. Like, she's just phenomenal at everything she does. I am very much an idea person. I'm a big picture thinker. She's like, sure, we'll take that idea and I'll mock it up and frame it out. And so I think if she didn't exist, this process would have been harder for the way that my brain works, to be transparent. But having that piece in place allowed me to just kind of imagine all the things that we could do. And so I really got to focus on writing the content and the experiments over and over, and the copy, and think about the marketing. And so I overall, I felt like it was a really smooth process. And to speak to what you did, and Kyle, we're talking about Kyle. And Kyle. But,
hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. You guys worked so quickly. You know, I remember we were like, oh, we need the stuff to put, in for touch bases, and I send it over, and it's like in immediately. And so it was just really a smooth process, really painless, and I was just blown away by how fast things can be stood up, and then the content can be put into the frameworks. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a newer thing. It used to be, believe it or not, super long.
Super long process.
Now we have armies of soldiers that never complain, don't sleep, ever drink, and so they are pretty good. So
never
we use
hungover.
Okay, what is the one thing or a few things that kind of caught you off guard or that you didn't really expect during the process?
Well, I didn't know how any of it worked. So it's really hard for me to answer that because I was just sort of learning as I went. But I don't think there was anything that felt out of left field. If anything, it was just how quickly I had to get stuff done. I need a little bit of anxiety to work and pressure, and so it came because I was thinking I had all this time, and you guys were like, "We're just waiting on you." So that caught me off guard, but that was a good thing.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's because we were all thinking, even myself when starting, we're like, we're gonna need some time to get everything up and running. Yeah. You have time. You can work on the content. Take your time. We're good. And then, actually, we're done. We need the content now. Please. Yes. Hello. So that was one thing that, none of us expected being able to go so fast because of, again, the army. Thank you, the army. You guys don't listen. Doesn't matter. Okay, cool. What else anything else you kind of touched on it already about what did you enjoy? I guess what I would say from what you just saw and you just said, and then you can top up or just say that's it, was that you were able to just focus on ideation and not go too much into specs and talking to me because I'm a pain. Was there anything else that you really enjoyed about the process?
That's completely true. The ideation part and not focusing on like how do we implement was such a gift. And I think I enjoyed, we got to worked a lot on the design, and having all of the tools that exist now made that so much simpler. And that was really a fun part of it too. And so I think obviously can keep evolving the design and improving it, but overall it looks great. And so that was fun to see that come to life too.
Nice. So again, good transition. Did it turn out like you expected, or you had to you feel you still had to make a few compromises here and there?
Actually, I haven't even thought about that. No, it turned out how I expected. I think the compromises we've made, which I don't even know if that's the correct label, if it's compromises, but it would be just not putting more stuff into it. I think holding back on all, like I remember when we came to you guys with our version 1 and you were like, no, that's, no. You're like, that's too much stuff. You don't even know if people are going to like using those things. Like, rein it in, ladies. So I think that is the only compromise, but it's probably not the correct label.
Well, that's actually a good point. So you have to launch something, and while we can do everything and everything is fast, it's always good to start with a tight, very not intense, but very focused first version and get it out there, and then you get the feedback, and then you can always roll out everything as you had thought of. But it's really important for people who have books or other ways and that are trying to get this into a digital product, not to try to do everything at once, even though it's fast, because you steal time and then resources, and maybe nobody cares, and so you spend
I
all
think
this time.
The hardest part is, how do we launch with enough that people feel like they're getting what they signed up for, and then not too much that we're just loading them with useless features. So
that's a good takeout. You still have to. There is quite a bit of work before even starting to figure out the design first of all, which you guys nailed, and then picking and choosing the exact features that are for V1. And then again, now products can evolve, and we've seen the pace. We can roll out new features every week if we wanted to, and I think that actually adds to not the engagement necessarily, but to the hype is maybe a strong word, but like we released, and next week, we have a new feature, we have a new feature, without faking it and just keeping everything hidden. But it also helps keep having people come back and for the new features and use the app as well. So in the end, it's a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think for me that's pretty much it, man. Did you have any other comment or question or thoughts?
No, not really. I feel like it's I think where we are in our process at this point is we're sort of trying to be, it's interesting to build the app, but then you have the launch of the app, and that's the phase we're in now, which is a completely different ball game. And I think, as Christina and I and you, we're all sort of chatting through what is next. It's also a delicate balance of, like, we want to keep improving the app and these small ways that we hope make a big difference for people, and we're getting user feedback, but then also, like, you got to get it out there and you got to get people in it. And so that's just a whole nother aspect of this process that I think requires a similar amount, if not more, energy and time and planning too.
Yeah, and one more reason not to want to do everything is because you have to launch it, so you have to stop and start promoting the app. Not you, but like for people listening or watching, is you have to sell it and have people use it. So you have to stop building at some point. Yeah, because even especially for tech people. For us, we love building. Building is fun, but then if nobody uses it, then you're just wasting your time. So it's a good point.
Yeah.
All right.
I will add one more thing, just for, I don't know if this is helpful for people listening, but I think one of the best levers we've been able to pull is that we had this abbreviated free care load assessment. And it's been, I guess if people are imagining what they would build, it's helpful to think about how do you get people quickly into a funnel where they start to learn about your product. And that was like, I think within 2.5-3 weeks, we have 5,000 signups through the free CLA. And so anyway, that's an important piece too. It's just like, how do you get people in the door so they can at least see you have this product to offer them and be able to try to, pitch it in the strongest way possible.
Oh yeah, that's also very good point. Basically, having kind of a freebie or more lead magnet, but not really.
It's different,
kind of, it's not really a lead magnet. It's more like a freebie or a sample of what's coming, and you can start having engagement and communication around it. So it's actually a good thing to try to think about and have as you are building the main app. And well, that also divides your attention because you have to promote the tool while you are building the app. So you're doing everything at once now. But yeah, it was actually helping a lot because you could start addressing your audience, your existing audience. We could start addressing other people about this tool that's valuable in itself. And then the realization of this tool or the outcome of this tool is basically the app helps you after seeing what is the state. This is how you're going to change the state and make it better and improve and keep improving by using it. So it's actually it's a good idea, a good point to try to think about a tool or an assessment or something that you could launch in advance of the actual app.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, well now, if people want to find you, where should they go?
You can find me on Instagram. My handle's at Dr. There's no period, Morgan Cutlip. That's also my website, or BetterShare app, which is their Instagram and our website too. So any of those places. Can you link the CLA?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to put all of these inside the notes, what they say, the show notes.
Yes, that's how they say it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Any last words?
No. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. And thank you for all you've done.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
And bye, everyone. Have a good one. Cheers.